Hey everybody, welcome back. Chuck and Stacy here with VO Buzz Weekly, and what's hoppin', Stace?
Well, Metal Gear Solid fans, Batman Arkham series, and Star Wars Clone Wars fans, you're gonna love our guest, Tasia Valenza.
Let's get buzzed.
Turn it up.
Get ready.
You're tuned in to VO Buzz Weekly.
And now, prepare to get seriously buzzed with your hosts, Chuck Duran and Stacy J. Aswan.
Okay, everybody, our guest is an Emmy-nominated actress who found her way, thankfully, to voiceover. You hear her in commercials, promos, narration, video games, and animation. We love her. We're so excited to get buzzed with the truly lovely and talented Tasia Valenza.
Wow. And look how stylish she is. You forgot stylish.
Well,
Oh, thank you. Just
she's
for you
a
guys.
fellow hat lover, so
yes.
girl after my heart. We're gonna have like a closet date, and we're gonna show each other our hats.
So I hear that your hat, she's got some fabulous hats too.
I'm excited.
So the hat is like that's your branding,
That's your
right?
thing.
That's my thing. That is
People
like,
don't recognize you if you don't wear a hat.
It has happened to me. When I'm in a ponytail, people are like, "Is that you?"
Yeah.
It's not even like you're under the hat. Is that you without the hat? But yes,
That's so cool, man.
It is. It's like a New York thing. It's a voiceover thing. It's a many faceted,
That's
multifaceted
so cool.
thing.
Speaking of New York,
Yes.
Yes.
hold on, let me grab
Fellow
my
New
notes
Yorker.
here.
New York.
I know a few things about you already.
Oh, you do.
He's fanning. That's a
so,
good sign.
yeah.
Things are heating up.
So
Exciting.
So you're originally from New York.
I am.
And you have an extensive acting background. So when did you first feel that, man, I want to be an actor. This is what I want to do for a living.
Oh, I think I was definitely like when I came out of the womb. Wah! I was like already a ham. But my parents were in the theater. My mother was an actress. My father was an actor. He went to the performing arts. She went to music and art. So it was definitely in the blood. He ended up being a very well-known restaurateur in New York City. His name is Frank Valenza. And my mother, she went across the country and was in plays, and then when she got married and had kids, she wasn't able to do it as much, but she was a cabaret singer, so it was in my blood. I was always doing the camp and school plays and getting the leads, and so it was kind of like I dig this. And my mom, God bless her, would take me to do extra work.
Really?
With her, I
What
would
a
cut
cool
school.
mom.
Cut school.
That is
School with your mom. You
I'm-
don't have to lie because you're with your mom.
I was
I'm
with my
like,
mom. I know. She was. So when I was 13, I did my first extra job on The Doctors, which was a soap opera.
Yeah, I
Yes.
remember that.
Ooh,
And then-
dramatic foreshadowing.
Yes. Who knew? Who knew?
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun dun dun. And then I ended up getting cast in a Louis Malle film, which was he was well known for the movie Big Deal. Actually, this movie was called Crackers, which was based on a movie called Big Deal on Madonna Street. It was an Italian film, but he was
Yeah.
known for Atlantic City and Pretty Baby,
yeah.
and that was also one of those right place, right time, thanks mom stories,
Wow,
which
yeah.
she literally was going down for the open call herself. I was cutting school, watching all my children.
She didn't just say that.
I could say
Kids,
that.
don't
No,
cut
it was
school.
only that one day.
Yeah.
One day.
But your children would never do that, Tasia.
No, I wouldn't even tell them that I did it.
So you cut
they
school.
can't say that. And she said, I'm going down to this open call for a Latina woman. I said, well, bring my picture for some extra work, because maybe, I could get some work.
Yeah.
So she goes down there. I go off to Studios Ice Cream Parlor. I'm scooping ice cream. She calls up. She said, they wrote the wrong age. There's all these women down here. They're looking for an ingenue. I showed them your picture. You got to get down to Juliet Taylor's office, who was a very well-known
Yes,
casting director. She
yes.
cast all of Woody Allen's movies. So I, mid-scoop, I left the place, got on my, blackest outfit to look, svelte, and ran down and auditioned. And she said, great, you're wonderful. We're going to fly you out to LA. You'll either be back in a couple of days or you'll have to stay out there for 6 weeks. So pack for 6 weeks. And I auditioned for Louis Malle, and the rest, they say, is history. I got the part, and
Wow.
6 weeks later, I came back to school, and I was I was a movie star, and too full of myself. But then 6 months later, I ended up on All My Children, and
That's so cool, man.
just kind of started the.
How did you get that?
Having
How did
Tad's baby.
Exactly. Well, I didn't quite happen. I tried.
That's true. You did.
That was.
You were a little saucy.
Well, I was a desperate woman. I was.
She went to desperate measures. Google it.
When
It's
you're-
not
when you're
pretty.
in
Desperate women do desperate things.
How did I get that one? That was
Yeah.
another cool story. Only because I was now, still in school. I was in
Yeah.
11th grade, had to go through high school, but I was starting to audition for other parts. And then I auditioned for the role of Dottie, and I knew in my heart that I was meant to play her just because she was so, there was a lot of similarities at
Yeah.
the time of,
Yeah.
of the divorce, of divorced kid, and I loved the part. I got all the way to the screen test, and then my agent said, you just came off this movie. It's going to come out in November. Usually you don't go from a movie to a soap opera. Probably best not to take it.
Really?
Yeah, because, I was in a movie with Donald Sutherland and Jack
Yeah,
Warden and
exactly.
Sean Penn.
And you want to
and-
like keep that.
well, it's
Yeah.
like that level. That's the tier that you want to stay on. So going on a soap opera is kind of going backwards because even though it was very popular at the
Totally
time,
iconic,
not,
yeah.
not on the same level of being in the movies,
Yeah.
and to put myself out of that game before the movie came out.
Right.
So I said, okay, if you advise me.
You turned it down?
I turned it down. A week later, I called him up and said, so who got the part? He said, nobody. I said, okay, wherever I was, I'm back from. I want a screen test for it with these 6 kids.
Yeah.
I'm obviously meant to do this. Please let me do it. And he said, okay, go for it. And I auditioned. I found out I found out by accident, basically, they were asking for wardrobe. I said, wardrobe for what? My agent called and he said, you got the part. So I basically, the crazy thing was, my school in New York City was on 63rd Street between Broadway.
Yes.
And then All My Children was on 67th. So my transition from high school to soap opera was like 4 blocks.
4 blocks.
So
Yes.
it was a crazy transition, and but that
What was that like working on a big soap opera like that? Like, was that like kind of hectic or
it was
grueling hours?
The misconception, I think, is people think it's easy work. I mean, it's
No,
tough. It's a
it's
lot
tough.
of
You
pages.
kiss a lot on those shows, don't you?
You kiss a lot. You have to
that
have.
was the hardest part. Is to get no. The kissing was
There's
so,
a lot of kissing going on in those shows.
Kissing in front of 35 people.
Yeah, right.
That's just what you're going
fun.
for.
No, the hardest part is literally you're doing a play a day. So you're learning the lines, and it's a new play. I mean, there's a lot of exposition in soap opera,
Yeah.
so you are saying the lines again, and that's the
Right,
other hard thing.
right.
So you're trying to say something that you've said 30,000 times before in a new, fresh way.
Yeah.
It's like, why did your brother say to his sister the other day that he was going to kiss that woman? Why? And the next day. So that was hard, but it was great training because you're doing
Yeah.
a play a day, and you're on your feet, and you're literally rehearsing in the morning, filming by the afternoon, and the show is done. So
Right.
it was cool. It was trial by fire.
Yeah.
But I loved it. But it was also, fairly heady, and I messed up in terms of I definitely got into the I'm the greatest thing that ever happened, and then found
You
out.
mean thinking of that
You
of
started
yourself?
believing your own
Yes.
hype. Take
People were
shot.
telling you, "Oh my God, you're so," and you're like,
Well,
I am.
Thank you for noticing how good I am.
Yes, and then reality hits, and then I lost my job.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
No,
Oh
boy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was tough. Every 13 weeks they can fire you, but you're tied up for 2 years. So I was on for almost 3 years, and then they basically didn't have a storyline, and then it was like one day I found out, and in the next 13 weeks you're done. I'm like, but I spent the money. You told me 2 years.
But
It's
I
only-
have a sex with Avenue credit card.
So that was really tough because,
Yeah.
of course, it was a great life lesson. I
Yeah.
had to tell me, I went from, making $800 a day to making $8 an hour.
Yeah.
And I moved out to LA. And I thought, okay, well, if I'm not going to do more soaps, I should move to LA and try it out here. So I came with a great girlfriend, and we moved out here and just started the whole acting thing out here. And that was kind of little steps up, back and
Yeah,
up,
yeah,
and
yeah.
started doing all the pilots. And you know, I have a demo on my website. I don't know if you got to see it. Like,
Yes.
I call it the bad hair demo because it was just like
Oh, there is some hair and some eyebrows, girl.
every
It's great.
80s and 90s,
Yeah,
you know, from
yeah.
the A-Team.
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
got to do all
Hunter.
that. Hunter.
Hunter.
And many
Yeah.
a Lupe and
Yes.
Maria. I played, you know, many
That's
a
so
Lupe and
cool,
Maria.
man.
So good, though. It's so good.
So-
You guys can see that on Tasia's website.
It's fun.
Tasia
Yeah, go
Valencia.
check it out.
It's so
What's
good.
your website at?
It's TasiaValencia.com.
Oh,
Ironically.
Doesn't get any simpler than that.
No,
She
TasiaValencia.com.
keeps it
So,
so
how
simple.
did you
simple.
transition from being this enormously successful and
So
popular
successful.
voice actor? No, I'm sorry, actor to voice actor.
That was Mom again.
Mom.
Good old Mom would say to me, you know, when I was doing all the acting, she said,
Yeah.
you know, I hear girls that sound like you should be a voiceover artist. And I said, you know, it's such a niche. This is 92.
Yeah.
Such a niche. It's so hard to get into. I'm doing the acting thing. And, you know, the yenta, do it. And I think my first teacher, I can't even remember who it was, he had 40-year-old copy and reel to reel. And I said, because then back then there was no VO Buzz Weekly, there were no resources.
Yeah.
It was
Right.
just, I just kept asking people like, do you know a good voiceover teacher? So that it took me almost 2 years to get an agent from the time that I did it. And but I got my first agent, which was TGI, which is
TGI.
now Vox.
Yep.
And I started doing it, and I was like, this is kind of fun, you know, and there was something very liberating about not being, you know, squeezed into this. Like, you're
Right.
not,
Right.
it's always about
Right.
this. And I saw that, you know, that I could be much more open and creative. And then the next year I was doing it more and more. And then, you know, I like to joke that my therapist said that my mental health was going up in proportion to the amount of voiceovers I was doing.
That's funny.
And so I was like, oh, that's
Something
interesting.
might be something to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I made more money doing it, and I really started thinking, this is not really ancillary. I really like this, and I'm getting really tired of that. And I'd been already doing it since I was 15, and I was now in my middle 20s, and I thought, you know what? Maybe I'd like to do this more. And then timing is everything in life.
It is.
I met my husband, who's not in the business, and who I knew that, you know, the first time I went off to an island and said, I'm going to be with this really hot guy, and, you know, we're lovers in it, but it's totally professional, doesn't mean anything, and I'll be back, that, you know, crickets would have met me at the door. And I just know that, you know, it wouldn't have been for him. And also, I ended up doing another soap opera. I did The Bold and the Beautiful for 12 weeks. And I thought, well, maybe I could go back to a soap opera and do voiceovers, because that's like a steady job. And I'd forgotten that you say the same lines every day. And so I was trapped for 8 hours, not getting to my voiceover gigs or auditions.
Yeah.
And I was saying, you know, you got to go get your baby. You got to get your baby. Tomorrow, you've got to get your baby. And I 12 weeks. And I said, you know what?
Get your freaking baby already.
It was a perfect bookend
Yeah.
to my career. So I called
So
up my on-camera agent and I said, I'm done.
Really?
That was
Like you
it.
just said, I'm done.
I called up, I said, look, you know what? Well, it wasn't like anyone was like banging down my door.
No,
I
but
worked,
still,
I worked.
that's a decision that you
It
make.
was a decision.
You know?
It was it seemed like the, you know, again, I do believe that if we listen, the universe guides us.
For
Yes.
sure.
And so this was 6 beautiful years. I was more and more enjoying this wonderful, freeing, liberating business. And at the same time, you know, there was little signs that one was draining.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
I met the love of my life, and I wanted to have like a fairly normal life. And I knew that the life of an actress is just challenged to begin with, but just even like the steadiness of voiceover,
Yep.
it was just a great time. And then
Yeah.
again, it was like I started on a soap, I end on a soap, bing,
Perfect.
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
never looked
Nice
back.
little,
Yeah.
nice button there.
Yeah,
I
and
love
it
that.
never looked
Yeah.
back. So that was about. when I
That's
was
cool.
28.
Congratulations,
I
man.
always
That's
say,
really
like,
cool. I like it
you-
when people.
Yeah. I like, you know, sometimes you have to let go of things to make room in your life for what you want more.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And I've never regretted it.
What was your first? Can you remember like your first like really cool voiceover gig where you're like, oh my god,
I'm in it.
Wow.
this is like really cool.
That's so.
Was it animation? Was there commercial? Was it?
Well, you know what was really cool was that I was starting to do promos. I got myself into ABC, and I was doing promos at ABC. That was really fun, and there weren't that many females doing promos at the time. And I found out that there was going to be a show, a channel called SoapNet. So here I am doing.
Here she goes again.
Right here at promos.
Oh my God!
I'm doing,
back to the soap thing.
I'm doing promos, and I'm a soap opera actress. I said, who should be the voice of this network but me? Yes.
Exactly.
Who knows it better than me? So I literally, the universe, I knew a producer, and I told my agents, I said, she was at ABC, and ABC owned it. I said, it would be so great if I could get an opportunity to audition for this. And, again, the universe was kind, and I got to do it for 10 years. And I was the voice of the network. So that's
a cool gig.
Yeah.
It was cool, and I got to some years I was the only voice of. Sometimes there was me and a male, and sometimes I was the female doing the whole thing, and that was pretty cool because again, to be women in promos, we've come so far, but to be the voice of a network, that was one of the first.
Did you record?
Yeah.
Where did you record? Did you record at the network? Did you record from home?
No, I came out to Keep Me Posted, which is a great recording. So I would drive out here all the time, and then I was also the voice of Politically Incorrect, which was again coming out to Hollywood, and that was an interesting story because I was asking people. It's 45 minutes to drive there. It's a 15-minute job, and it's 45 minutes to drive back. What could I do to make this go faster, right?
Yeah, and they said,
Telos, you need a Telos. And you know what? I did it, and it was the first day that I did Politically Incorrect, where I went into the kitchen, I was cooking, I came back, I went into my closet, which is where I do all my recording. 5 minutes later, I was back in the kitchen. I was like, dollars well spent.
Yeah, right?
Time is valuable.
And the great thing was, of course, again, you guys know, it's so last minute voiceover, and the more you are ready for that last minute, the more work comes. And it was a great investment, and I still have that lovely antique Telos still sits there, and I still do.
Yeah, but it's still being used.
I use it. I don't use it as much, but I use it. I still use it a lot, so that was great.
So this is something I know we have in common, like setting intentions, manifesting.
Yeah.
Is something that you're really passionate about doing. Why? Or how did that sort of come to you? Or what is your sort of belief behind doing that?
Well, I definitely live by this. And it's something, you can say it's the secret. You can say, when I was 28, I listened to my first really mind-shifting, was tapes at the time. It was Brian Tracy, who's a wonderful motivation speaker. And he made a tape series called The Psychology of Achievement. And it was the first time I'd really ever listened to this idea that, he took it from a really scientific background of the, the law of expectation, the law of, supply and demand, and the law of, to give more than you actually even expect to get back. And this idea of really living your life with intention and not just kind of going with the flow. Now, I had always had a lot of lucky stars, just my mom helping me and then falling into, certain things. But I'd had a lot of lows too. And it really spoke to me, this idea of, it's not what happens to you, it's how you react to it and then how you shift it. Poison into medicine. The whole idea of, and so, to this day, I'm always trying to just bathe myself in this idea of, what you speak, what you said. I write down my lists. I speak it. I use the words I am, and I try to.
As if you already have what you want.
Exactly, because, I really, really do believe, and of course, quantum physics now is really making this a lot less hooey-hooey, right? This idea that quantum physics says that, most of this really doesn't exist. It's like there's so much space between molecules so why not, create the reality you want? And I do believe, my life is really been made by my beliefs, and I have an amazingly beautiful life. And when I say that, I live in a state of gratitude.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which
best place to live.
Yeah. And when you live in a state of gratitude, happiness is always here. And I'm not saying that I don't have challenges and struggles, and I do, not like some people. But I'm so much more aware of just waking up every morning and saying thank you, God, for my health. having 2 eyes, 2 ears that can,
Yes.
because
Limbs that move, yeah.
you really do as you get older and
Yeah.
you see the fragility of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, I just feel like this has definitely infused my life. I bother my kids with it all the time. How many goals are you going to make? Let's hear it. I want to hear you. I want to. Nope. I am. I have. And, they get it.
I will.
I am. Yeah, or I am. I mean,
Yeah.
the idea is
Yeah.
like it's almost like the quantum
Am is like
world.
present.
Am.
Like
Yeah.
you've already achieved it, and the
Yeah.
universe is just like, oh, that's what you want. But when you like, I wish and I could, the universe is like, oh, she only wants to wish. Don't fit. She's in a state.
Yeah.
She wants it to be out there. So
Yes.
That's good.
Yes.
the idea is I am. I am, and and also a great rabbi once said the definition of happiness, and it just struck in my brain, and I've never forgotten it. And because he was asking us, what do you think happiness is? And of course, well, it's this and it's that, and it's a feeling you get. And he said, well, happiness is being grateful for what you have right now. And it was that bing. Oh yeah, because if I'm not, you will have the line, I'll be happy when.
Yeah.
Yes.
When I lose the weight, when I get the boyfriend, when I get the job, then it's always elusive.
Yeah.
So being grateful for what you have right now is a state of happiness. It doesn't mean you can't want more.
Yeah.
Right.
So I also try to live with that.
That's good. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes.
I mean, it's not mine, but I
No, it's not
grabbed
yours.
onto it, and I
to
love
be
to share
really
it.
honest with you, Stacey and I
and it
basically live our lives the same
I
exact
can see
way.
that.
Yeah.
You guys are
Well, no, because we
emanate
always
such
say, like,
beautiful energy.
Thank
you. But we talk about too, like in relationships, whether it's personal, professional, that if nothing changed at all, would you be content, happy in that relationship, whatever that relationship is? Because so many people say, like, well, like you said, oh, well, when that happens or if that happens, it'll get better. But what if it doesn't? Like right now, because who knows how many tomorrows you have,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
and
so.
you know what? I see people all the time that they'll, complain, right? They'll be, oh man, blah, blah, blah. And I'm looking at their life
Yeah.
and
Does it
and
reflect
where they're
that?
at. And I'm saying to myself, oh my God. Like, how could you even think about that when you have all these blessings in your life, you know?
Well, focusing on the lack versus the abundance.
Totally.
And that's the idea. Is
Like,
the-
who has time for that?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, again, so a lot of times it's training. A lot of times it's like, what we were raised with. And a lot of times it's also, it's easier in a group. People like to kind of
Yeah.
jump off each other. And a lot of times, and even sometimes you don't want to feel like you've got it so much better than someone else. So if you throw in a little complaint there.
Diminish it a little bit.
Yeah. And I definitely think that sometimes we can tend to do that.
Sometimes I like to just complain just to remind myself that my life is awesome. You know what I mean? It's
Right,
like,
otherwise you're
oh,
like,
wait a minute.
how would you
My
know?
life is awesome. I don't need to complain. I'll stop now.
No, and I struggle with it sometimes. I mean, even though I'm a generally very positive person, I read this book, A Complaint-Free World, which is another. I always love to share books.
Was that a good one?
Yes.
It's an amazing one. It was written by.
Tasha's reading list. We're
yes.
say
we're
it
putting
again.
names.
I do.
Let's jot it down.
The Secret, The Power. I love all those.
Right.
And then A Complaint-Free World.
A complaint-free
A
world.
pastor wrote it, and he started it in his congregation where he put a purple bracelet, and it was a rubber purple bracelet, like the Life one, like the Lance Armstrong. And he made a rule in his congregation that if everyone could go a certain period of time, 21 days, without either complaining, criticizing, or gossiping. And now the idea is you have to move the bracelet from side to side, and the idea is to keep it for 1 day without moving. And the amount of difficulty, and I've done it, I've tried it, and I don't think I've made it past a day still. I mean, I literally,
Wow.
because it's so inherent, but the movement has become a worldwide movement. And I mean, I bought like 9 or 10 bracelets and I gave away. And yet, as my brother says,
Look,
you
you
don't
have a
wear
purple
the
mug.
Right, I'm
So
going
you
to
can
just
start
move
with the mug.
bracelet. Right. Have I done anything? Have I criticized? I think you're
No,
good.
you've been
Am I good?
absolutely
You're good.
lovely.
I'm going to
Yeah.
keep
This
the
is
mug over
good.
here.
Keep your
I'm
mug.
gonna
We'll
keep
just swap. We'll have round robin mugs.
Yeah, but it is amazing. I mean, if you
It is
really
a
want to become
cool
conscious,
challenge.
Yeah.
Yes.
A complaint-free world, get the purple bracelet or any kind of bracelet and just move it every time you complain, criticize, or gossip. Now, even if you just take gossip out of it,
Right.
complain or criticize.
Well, it'll be interesting to do it on your social media. to not complain, criticize, or
That
Or
I actually do.
or gossip on your social media.
That
That
is-
might be a good exercise.
It would be, because I think we
it's
That's
use
a
it.
new
full of
world right
yeah.
there.
It's
That's, I see a new book coming written by Stacey J.
Tasia
No.
and I are going to be.
Whoa!
Thank you.
This just in, brunette power, girl.
Woo! Woo! Let's go.
Okay.
Positivity on social media.
Yeah, I think putting out there. I mean, do we need one more rant? Do we need one more
There's so much of it.
judgment? So what's the worst that could happen? Someone might read that and go, "Wow,
Yeah, I
I really needed to see that quote, or I needed to read your exciting news that day." That's coming from a place of giving and gratitude, not bragging.
I like to come from that, and I certainly, I'll always find nice quotes to share, and
Yeah.
and just, the other day I put my dog on there, with some cool glasses at his tongue, and I said, I asked my dog for a really great Monday motivation smile, and I think he outdid himself, and I hashtag dog
That's
lovers,
funny. Yeah.
People
Yeah.
love it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not. Is it the deepest thing? No, but did I
No.
hope to bring a smile to someone's face?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. That's going to be the new motto for 2017.
Which is,
right?
yeah.
Which is just bring a smile. What did you just say about?
Okay, I'd like to bring a smile to your face.
There you
Yes.
Just bring a smile to your face.
go. Live your
do
life
it.
trying to bring a
Let's
smile
start a
to people's
movement on
faces.
that.
Yeah,
let's
bring
start
a
a new
smile.
movement.
Bring a smile.
Hey, here's a quick question for you. Obviously, you audition a lot because you're in the voiceover industry.
Yes.
Any tips for our viewers on little auditioning things that worked for you, and maybe some that you should get rid of?
Well, it's an evolving read. I mean, I'm of the mind, you can never know it all, and I still work on my craft, which is, sometimes I think, of course, the longer you've been at this, the more it's a disadvantage right now, because the read is so not pretty and not, it's the millennial read
Yep.
and it's the real read, and so I try to go into my actor me more and not pretty it up as much. And so I found, and of course this is a wonderful Kalmanson technique, and I mean not
Yes.
only Kalmanson, I mean but it's certainly, I know you guys had them on and I watched it, it was great.
Amazing. Aren't they so sweet?
The lead-in helps me so much.
Yeah.
The idea of before I say the word introducing, I love to say, you know what I was thinking, or just,
Yeah.
so it goes like this, da-da-da-da-da-da, or just something that makes me feel like I'm specifically talking to a person as opposed to coming in to the copy cold. Because it just changes it more for me feeling like I'm talking to you as opposed to the ether
Yeah.
and the voiceover artist. So that's one of my
Exactly.
favorite things is the good old lead-in. And then, sometimes just even reading it really fast until it's almost organically in me. Like, I'll just read it, and then I'll start saying it. But I want the words to almost be behind me,
Internalized, yeah.
right? So that I can start thinking about the intention. Because sometimes you say words, and again, if you said them a long time, you just know how to make the melody already. Which again, I think is a disadvantage for someone when you've done it so long.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I almost want to work the words so much, and then even sometimes slowly, like, what does this word really mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not so much, and I definitely don't wear cans.
Yes.
I stopped wearing cans about 5 years ago because I just love the sound of my voice. and in so doing,
Yes.
I've stopped really, connecting to what I'm saying, to whom I'm saying, because I'm listening too much to myself.
Exactly.
So those are my
love
little
that.
tips. The
Good for you.
lead-in.
What about, you said going back to your acting background in order for the auditions? What did you mean by that?
Well, the actor always says, who am I in the scene? It's like, what do I want, and how do I get it? What am I doing to get it? In other words, even in a small scene where it's just a couple of lines, am I playing a mother? Am I playing, what role is it? And so I can really think about, who would I be speaking to if I was really saying this in a scene?
Right.
In a scene, as opposed to just, again, it's so easy to just go into, introducing the greatest soap on earth. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
so I'm talking about soap, I'm talking, and and all the copy always says you're talking to your girlfriend.
Yeah.
But as an actor, I really think, well, who am I in the scene,
Right.
and what girlfriend would I
Specificity.
talk? And maybe
Yeah.
I'll just write someone's name, like, I'm talking to Liz, and then maybe I'll even do like a little mini scene in my mind ahead of time, like, oh my God, I was at the girls last night, and just something that just again allows me to be more actor,
Yeah.
less voiceover artist, so that I can hope that
Have
I'm-
like these visuals created in your
Right.
mind.
yeah,
that-
which is again, depending on how much time you have. This is all obviously prep time before.
Of course.
You're in a
Right,
booth, you
right.
can't do
yeah,
that.
this is you're in the kitchen thinking
Right.
about all this stuff.
Right.
Then you
Before
run to your
she-
booth and then
Right, and
Yeah.
also sometimes if you're in the booth alone, and I'm sure other people have said it, I'll do it, I'll walk away, I'll go get some tea, I'll come back, and I'll listen with fresh ears. And then I'll think, does that sound real to me? Do I sound like or did I already, did I do
Yeah.
something that just prettied it up where it
Right.
just sounded like the standard read? And that, sometimes the perspective, because I don't know about you, but sometimes I'll be in there for so long that what does the mean? I don't
Yeah.
even know anymore.
What is the
Yeah, you're like,
I've
how
said
do you
it-
say
They keep
that
saying
word?
the.
I've said it too many times, and I don't understand.
Visa,
I don't even know
visa.
where to put the emphasis anymore. So
Yeah.
it's just that, like,
Yeah.
whoa, let's shake it up, walk away, and, come back fresh.
I know sometimes, because I have an on-camera background as well, sometimes I'll imagine the microphone is the camera and I'll do sort of more of an on-camera delivery.
That's a great technique.
because sometimes it calls for that, like just,
Absolutely.
so I'll do like my Disney Stacy or my this Stacy, like more of the on-camera
Yeah, as if you were talking.
presentation.
That's
Yeah.
another great technique. You really
you
were
do that?
explaining. Yes,
Okay.
I do. Yeah, that was something that Carol Kimball, whenever because I keep training. I love. it's
That's good.
Yeah, I never believe that you're done, and so I teach. I've taught some classes, and I like to train because I just think it's so.
Yeah.
There's some wonderful teachers.
Yeah.
There's so many great coaches.
Absolutely.
And Carol would tell me that, why don't you just do it as if you were the on-camera version of yourself, saying the same thing, and it kind of again lends itself to a different
Right,
energy
right.
because
Totally,
you're you're moving your hands, you're gesticulating, and sometimes, of course, when we're on the microphone again and you get very cramped, you don't move, and animation, movement. So when you're doing that exactly, it helps you to be
That's really cool.
Yeah.
more helpful
Yeah.
that way.
I like that.
I'm glad.
So, how have you navigated through maybe difficult times within the business? You know what I mean? Because obviously, like you said earlier, we have ups, we have downs. So, through some of those down times in VO, what's your outlook on it? How do you go through them? Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there are times, it's like every freelance-itis, I call it. You're up, you're down, you got a great, account, you don't. So definitely, I try to, for one thing, I like to say that I do everything but kabuki, which I don't even know if everyone gets that, but it's an old joke, but I do, because I do so many different mediums,
Yeah.
I'll focus on one of the other mediums, where maybe I'll go back and take some more animation if I want to do some more. And then the act of, again, intention, focus, helps me to work on that part of my career maybe more, so that I can get more. If one of the areas slows down, I'll just see where is the energy going, and then I also do passion projects. I'll just make my own thing. Like I made like an a video for Apple that I was in love, and I literally wrote my own commercial. I filmed it, with my family, and I voiced it. And I feel like whenever I lend energy to it, energetically speaking, the universe, I feel like, replies.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think there's such a level of intention and just moving around, not necessarily going away from it, finding another aspect to it that gets me passionate.
There you go. So staying positive on the
Yeah,
positive
because
side.
it is easy to be like, oh God, am I
Yeah.
done? Am I done?
Yeah.
Was that it?
Was that it? Was it like the soap opera?
Right.
I should have enjoyed it more. I didn't know that was
Yeah,
it.
I know. Had I known, I would have saved the money.
Yeah. I would have taken more craft service. Darn it. I would
I would have saved the money.
have taken a few extra bottles of
I
water.
love that. Very good. All right, that's all we got for part one with Tasia. We'll be back next week with part two, so dig in.
Isn't she awesome?
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Hey, you guys, keep up with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We love you. Thanks for watching. And just remember, you always have time for a little buzz.
Come on, come on, come on and get buzzed with us.
VO Buzz Weekly is sponsored by Chuck Duran's Demos That Rock. The voiceover demo producer to the stars is now available to you. Visit demosthatrock.com. and take your voiceover career to the next level.
See you next time. And remember, you always have time for a little buzz.